What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Sheehan Show here on Sherdog.com. And it's another betting show for everybody today, as we have a very interesting card headlined by the two Rafaels, Dos Anjos and Fiziev this week. Although one of them might be Rafael, I'm not sure. Maybe it's not two Rafaels. But this is a very interesting card. The top three fights especially are really, really intriguing for me. And it's the type of card you look at and you might think, well, this isn't the great one. Maybe this is one I can miss in terms of the names on it and everything. But when you look actually down through the card and you look at the actual matchups themselves, rather than just the names, it's actually pretty good. And I'm looking forward to the top three anyway. After that, there's a couple of other good fights. I really like the Jamie Malarkey, Michael Johnson fight as well. I think that one could potentially be very, very fun. But I do have a good few bets on this card. I have my 5 bets as always, but I really went back and forth on the bets this week. There are a lot of close fights, and especially one or two fights where I'm thinking like, right, I think someone's going to get knocked out in that fight. Which person is it going to be? Now, I didn't have a great week last week. I think I only got my guy Ian Gary plus 200. The rest of them, they went up in smoke, but I blame the fighters. Last week was a great card coming in, turned out to be pretty bad, especially the main event. And I can't legislate for that, lads. I can't legislate for it. But either way, please bet responsibly coming into this weekend. 4th of July just went for America. I'm sure you spent a lot of your money drinking and stuff over there. So take it handy this weekend. Don't go mad, but throw a few of these together, you might make yourself a good bit of money putting something small on, but we'll have fun with it. We'll keep it nice, we'll keep it even, and we'll get straight into it. So I'm going to go with my first bet here. And the first bet I'm going for is a guy I really like as a fighter, and that's Borralho. And I'm going to go for him to win by submission at plus 250. Now, Borralho's fighting Armen Petrosyan, who we might know. He's the brother of the famous kickboxer Giorgio Petrosyan, and he's a pretty good kickboxer himself. He's one of these guys that always lands shots all the time throughout the fight. He's tip, tap, and he has a big knockout blow as well. I'm not just saying he's a tip-tap fighter, but that is the way he fights. He just constantly touching you, constantly throwing different things, and very effective. And it's still only 8 fights into his career, so very young in his mixed martial arts career, despite the fact that he's 31. Only made his debut back in 2018. Only made his UFC debut at the start of this year, winning the split decision over Gregory Rodriguez in a fight which he showed a bit about him. He obviously fought in the Contender Series before that, got a first round knockout, but he showed that when the fight goes to the ground, he's able to get back up. He's not just one of these guys you take him down and it's over. Now, maybe you can take him down and it's over if you're good enough there, but he has a bit about him. He has a bit of jiu-jitsu, and he can defend against a guy, like Rodriguez, who has 16 fights in his career and 4 wins by submission. So he went on to knock out Julian Marquez in the fight after that, but he's kind of a kickboxer as well. Maybe you can't read too much into that, but what you did see from Petrosyan was pretty good. And in Borralho, and a very new guy in the UFC as well. He was the co-main event last time out, if I'm not mistaken, so I went back and I watched a good few of his fights for that, and I was so impressed. He fought in the Contender Series twice, and he was very, very impressive there, and especially in his second fight, and he won it. He won that pretty comprehensively. He's back at middleweight here, which I really like, because his best performance in the Dana White Contender Series was in the middleweight division, if I'm not mistaken, and he was indeed against Murray, and that's the division I think he needs to be fighting at. When he fought at light heavyweight, he just wasn't as good. He was kind of dragging himself around a little bit and stuff. And I think when he gets down to middleweight, he's stronger, he's faster, and it's better all around. It's better all around for him. So I'm glad to see he's back at middleweight again for this fight at the weekend. Now, if you haven't seen Borralho fight, he's really good and a really well-rounded fighter. He can throw big high kicks. He can knock you out with a head kick. He fights out of the kind of karate style, and you'd be forgiven for thinking he trained with Lyoto Machida or something like that. But he actually trained with Damian Maia, and you see that when his fight went to the ground. His last fight went to the ground. His jiu-jitsu looked absolutely great. Good wrestling, good top kick, good takedowns as well. So this guy can do it all. He went in there and fought a Russian wrestler last time out, and he was the one who got taken down, but immediately turned it over into the top. Next round, he takes it down, dominates him there. So this guy can really, really do it all. And when you're fighting someone like Armen Petrosyan, who's known as a kickboxer, there's a reason why I'm going for a submission, because I think Borralho will probably try to take him down here. Now, I think he will fight with him on the feet. I don't think this is the one where you go straight across the cage, take him down, and that's it, job done. I think he will fight with him on the feet for a while. I actually wouldn't be surprised if he won on the feet, but I do think there'll be a certain point where he goes, all right, I'm either losing on the feet, I need to take it down, or I'm winning on the feet. Let's put an exclamation mark on this. Let's get this guy down. Maybe even if he's hurt, get the finish there, or get a lot of top control, land a lot of shots, maybe get the submission as I'm suggesting here. And the reason I'm going for the submission, one is because of that, but two, because Petrosyan in that fight against Rodriguez showed that he will not remain on the ground, which in one way is a great thing. He won't. Some guys get taken down and they stay there later, and very easy for me to say, but we're looking at it, they'd probably say the same thing themselves. But there are other guys who hit the ground like Jose Aldo, and they jump straight back up. The floor is lava sort of thing. Well, Petrosyan from that fight anyway is that sort of fighter. The fight hits the ground, his back hits the ground, and he's the type of guy who tries to pop back up. He tries to even give up his back, go all fours on the ground with the arse up in the air, try to knock you off and then get back out. That's the type of fighter Petrosyan is. And that is a bad type of fighter to be against someone who's trained with Damian Maia for the last 7 or 8 years or whatever it is, who's as good as he is on the ground, who, is dangerous in all areas, can also get up from that position and probably pick you up and throw you back down again, or land a big shot when you're kind of standing back up. Very dangerous to do against a guy like him. And I just think that Petrosyan will get taken down at some time during this. I think he will take a risk after he gets taken down, and I think he'd get submitted from taking that risk. I just think Borralho showed enough in that in his first UFC fight, in his last fight, that enough to suggest that he is very good on the ground as well as good on the feet, and that he should have an advantage over a guy who's only 8 fights into his career, who's predominantly known as a kickboxer and who's only been fighting in MMA for 3.5-4 years. And that's the reason I'm going for the submission. Now, we'll get to the rest of the prices a little bit later on, but plus 250 to go for the submission. I looked through the other ones. I think that's the best value. Now, could it be ground and pound? Maybe. Could he knock him on the feet? Maybe. But if you were to give me a choice between the three of them and a similar sort of price, I probably would go for the submission, especially at that price where it's plus 250. Right, let's talk about my next bet. I'm going for Antonina Shevchenko here, straight up at plus 175. And let me just check that updated price there. Yeah, she's still around plus 170, plus 175. She's taking on Cortney Casey at the weekend. And I don't maybe have as much of a breakdown in this fight as I had on that one, only to say that I really respect what Antonina Shevchenko has done over the last few years. She's did I say Casey O'Neill? I meant Courtney Casey, because Casey O'Neill she fought the last time, and Andrea Lee as well, and she ended up losing both of those fights. But that win over Ariane Lipski, going to the decision with Caitlin Chukagin, those were pretty good performances. And okay, I think Andrea Lee is a very good fighter. I think Casey O'Neill is a very, very good fighter as well. But I think against someone like Courtney Casey, who is very much, she doesn't have the unbelievable jiu-jitsu or anything like that. She doesn't have unbelievable striking. She's kind of a forward pressure, try to put you on the back foot, push you against the cage and dominate you there. I think that, if you see some of the names that beat her recently, I think she was beaten by someone who could, like Andrade, who could tactically fight very well as a striker, and who was also a good wrestler in the middle of the cage, or Casey O'Neill, who's a very good all-around fighter. I think Shevchenko is at her best when someone tries to come onto her and she can throw 1, 2, 3 off the back foot, slip around and get away. I think she's better in the clinch as well. Obviously, we know Valentina. She's very, very good in the clinch as well. And I think that is probably the best place for Cortney Casey to win this fight if she does win it, to push her against the cage, or the place she will want to win it. I can't see multiple big double leg takedowns in the middle of the cage against Shevchenko, even though that's what you would probably want against Shevchenko. I just don't think Casey has that in her locker, to be honest, against someone like Shevchenko. Now, I could be wrong. I could be wrong here again. And, it's funny I'm saying, she's performed very well over the last few years when she's lost 3 of her last 4 fights in terms of Shevchenko. But still, I think people will get what I mean, especially the Lipsky performance where she showed improvements on the ground as well. And I just think Cortney Casey, who has lost 2 of her last 3 fights, got, choked out by Julian Rodriguez, beaten in a striking match by JJ Aldrich in a split decision. That was close. But if you look at JJ Aldrich and you look at Shevchenko, you would probably say that, Shevchenko is a better version of JJ Aldrich in terms of a striker. She's a better, a better technician, a better tactician and all of that, and it's probably a good marker for how this fight will go. I think it'll go to decision. I think Casey will put it on her. She'll push her against the cage at times, but we have to remember as well, just pushing someone against the cage, as we saw in the Rory McDonald-Salibu C fight last week, that doesn't win you fights. You have to be landing strikes, and I feel like Casey will have long-term success against the cage, but it won't actually do her much, and Shevchenko will land strikes and defeating the outside and end up probably winning the decision here. So yeah, I'm going for Shevchenko just straight up at minus 175. Not a great price, but I'm trying to get a win on the board here, to be honest. I don't know. I'd second that. I actually don't know if I made the best pick there. I was just trying to get one on the board. I do think she will win, but I'm kind of after talking myself into maybe Cortney Casey to make it a bit closer than it is. But no, I do think Shevchenko will win that one. I just don't think Casey's clinch will be enough to get her to the ground, and I don't think that just pushing her against the cage in the clinch will be enough to win the decision. So that's the main reason I think Shevchenko will win here. Right. The next bet here is actually a pretty shocking price, if I'm being honest. And I'm going for Jared Vanderaa at plus 145 to win inside the distance against Chase Sherman. Now, if anyone has watched Chase Sherman over the last while, it hasn't exactly been great viewing for the old Vanilla Gorilla. He basically went in there in his last 2 fights and ended up tapping before the submissions were really on twice in a row. He looks like a guy, he was a guy who was cut by the UFC, brought back because they needed someone on short notice. And, maybe it was just he wasn't prepared for that fight, for that one fight or whatever, but I was shocked when I saw he was fighting again in the UFC, to be honest. I thought he'd be a guy who was brought back and immediately cut again, they gave him one more fight. That was plenty. But no, he's coming in there, he's fighting Jared Vanderaa. And Jared Vanderaa, look, he's not the best fighter in the world, don't get me wrong. He's lost his last 3 in a row, but look, at least he lost Olenek Arlovsky in a close split decision. And a lot of people thought he won that fight. And in Romanov as well. But he's beaten Justin Taff, he's beaten Harry Hunsucker over in Dana White Contender Series, lost to Spivak as well. But he's not I'll be honest, he's not the best fighter in the world. But Chase Sherman, does not belong in the UFC. I don't think Chase Sherman should be even fighting anymore, to be honest. His last 2, and it's very easy for me to say, and I don't want to be, and I don't like being disrespectful, but I have to call it as it is. His last 2 outings in the UFC were embarrassing. He gave up. He and I don't like saying it, but the evidence is there. If you go and look at those fights, one of them, the last fight, he tapped before that was even on. He literally just gave up. And how can he be on the other side of a 145 plus 145 inside the distance against someone like Vanderaa, who can hit hard, is good on the ground, can do, can kind of do it all, and he can take a punch as well. He's lost 8 times, but only 2 of them have been by KO in the heavyweight division, which which means a lot, I think. And he lost to Romanov by KO in the UFC and Spivak as well. And that's it in his whole career. So if he can get past the first 30 seconds by Chase Sherman, maybe push him against the fence, maybe get a takedown, or maybe land a few shots of his own. Honestly, I think this is, I wouldn't say free money, but it's the closest you get, I think. Now, I don't know if there's if there is money out there for Chase Sherman to win in the first minute. Back that, right, and then back this as well, because one of the two of them things I think will happen, and I think it'll be this one. So I think this is a really fantastic price. Vanderaa inside the distance plus 145. I think that'll happen. I think he'll come out. Chase Sherman will come out and he'll throw a few big shots early. I do think that will happen. I do think Vanderaa will start landing a few jabs. You'll see Chase trying to throw right hand. He won't land it a few times. Vanderaa will probably back him up, push him against the cage a bit, land one or two shots to the body. Chase will come out and Vanderaa will land a big shot and Chase will fall down. I think that's kind of what will probably happen. Maybe he'll give up a takedown. Maybe he'll give up the neck and get choked out or something like that. We look at the price by submission in a second if it's there, but I think that's the bet to go for, to be honest. Now I look at the bet by submission here. Let me just see. Plus 550. God Almighty, there you go. And now I don't want to go full like Sean Strickland's going to win by submission. I take no responsibility for that either. That was all on Sean Strickland and Eric Nixick, whoever's coaching him to fight like an idiot. God Almighty, don't blame me. Don't blame me. That was god awful. But anyway, yeah, I'm going for Vanderaa there to win plus 145. The next bet is the one I really struggled with because it's okay. It's the Said Nurmagomedov fight against Douglas Silva, the Andrade, and the graphic will probably be up by now. So I've gone for Nurmagomedov to win by knockout at plus 285. But I was so close to going the other way. So close to go the other way. Plus 500, the Andrade is to win by KO. And going back and watching both of these lads, by God, it's entertaining to go back and watch both of them. I needed it after watching that snooze fest with Israel Adesanya the other day. I needed a bit of entertainment, and I got it here. The Andrade absolutely throws bombs, just big hooks. He was fighting someone. Who was he fighting? Chino Vera. And they said he'd fought John Lineker in the fight before. And the Andrade was a bit like John Lineker. And he just comes out and throws big bombs of shots. Brilliant. Said Nurmagomedov, as John Anik, I think it was, said no relation to Habib. But I think he trains a bit with the family, or, he's a Nurmagomedov. He comes from that area anyway. But he doesn't fight per se like a Nurmagomedov. He is a wheel kicker. He's spinning kicks, spinning elbows, spinning back fists, throws big high kicks, high amplitude shots. That's what he's all about. There is a bit of wrestling there as well. Okay, his name is Nurmagomedov. Let's be honest, he can wrestle as well and do a bit of all of that. But this is going to be an absolute banger of a fight. These two lads are going to come out here and they're going to be throwing shapes. They're going to be throwing fists, and someone's getting knocked out. Plus 285, I've gone for Nurmagomedov. Plus 500 for the Andrade. There's no bet up at the moment for the fight in by KO. That's the bet I go for. I don't know what it would be, maybe plus 150 or something like that. That's the bet. If it's later in the week or anything, go for that bet. Someone to win by KO. I really think someone's getting knocked out in this. Both of them just hit too hard. They go for it too much not to be, I think. Now, both of them actually have good chins as well, and they'll get knocked out that much. So maybe it's one of these ones where they just go back and forth and it's a 15-minute war, fight at night type of fight. I do think it will be that. I think this is going to be unbelievable. And I talked about great matchups, maybe not the biggest names that people know the people. This is a great one. This is going to be a really fun fight, unless someone gets knocked out early, which I would not rule out whatsoever. The way these two lads hit, it absolutely could happen. So I'm really looking forward to that one, and I'm going for Nurmagomedov via KO at plus 285. Now, onto my flyer. Now, my flyer was going to be the Andrade by KO plus 500, right? And then I had all my watching done for all this card, all my tape study, as the pros like to call it, and then I got into the main event. I was like, right, let's watch a bit of tape study for this. Watched a bit of Fiziev, watched a bit of Dos Anjos, right? And you watch the Fiziev fight. Let me just quickly pull up which fights it was so I don't get it wrong. The Bobby Green fight was the first one anyway. Goes to the third round against Bobby Green and gets very tired. Very, very tired in that third round. So much so that I remember talking on the podcast the day after and going, the next time that Fiziev fights, or when he fights a 5-round fight, we're going to be talking about this, because it's going to be when he gets to the third, fourth, fifth round. What's going to happen? What is going to happen? His next fight, Borralho, came out and he won by a third round spinning wheel kick KO, but he still looked tired. And Borralho looked very, very tired as well, and he was caught up in all of that. Right. I assume everyone, if you're watching this, you've more than likely seen a Rafael Dos Anjos fight. And what is he known for? He's known for his unbelievable cardio. His last 4 fights in a row have all gone to a decision, 3 of them into the 5th round. His fight before that, he won it in the 4th round. He won by submission in the 4th round. His 3 fights before that all went 5 rounds. So this guy is fighting 5, 5, 5, 4, 5, 3, 5, 5. This guy has cardio for days. We remember the beating he put on Anthony Pettis back in the day, right? So that's what I'm betting on in this fight. I'm betting on one guy with superior cardio to most people in that division, and I'm betting on another guy who might have solved his cardio problem, maybe. Right? So that's what I'm betting on, and I'm going for plus 1,000 for Rafael Dos Anjos to get a KO on this. And this is not going to be a 13-second Conor McGregor and Jose Aldo KO. And if it does, grand, we'll still get paid out. This is, and I hope the bet lines aren't wrong, because I'll shout out to my friends over on Best Fight Odds. That's where it is. Dos Anjos by KO plus 1,000, which seems big to me. And maybe it is wrong. Maybe it's wrong. Maybe I'm a fool. But that's the bet I'm going for. I think Dos Anjos will lose the first 2 rounds, right? I think Fiziev will win those first 2 rounds. He will land a lot of big shots. I love the way he fights. As I said, he lands a lot of big shots. He throws a lot of shots. He throws a lot of different techniques, switch stances. But because of that, he gets tired. And if he doesn't do that early to preserve his gas tank, he will get to a stage probably in the 2nd or 3rd round where he realizes he has to up the pace because it's not going as well for him, because Dos Anjos is a very good fighter, and then he'll fight hard in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round and get tired in the 5th. So I think it's a catch-22 situation here, and I don't think he can afford to step back and not fight at a pace against Dos Anjos. And I just think at plus 1,000 for the KO, unless those odds are wrong. Unless that maybe they'll come into plus 700 or 800 later on the week, but I'll still go for that anyway, because I think there's good logic to this. Now, it mightn't turn out that way. When you're betting at the plus 900 or plus 1,000 or whatever it might be, it's not always going to work out the way. This is a flyer. You throw a quid on it and you hope for the best, right? But if this fight goes to the 4th and 5th round and Dos Anjos has survived the big barrage and Fiziev has put on a big barrage, maybe Fiziev's cardio maybe it is an issue. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. Maybe I was wrong about the Bobby Green fight and all that. But if that is an issue, we know and we're proven that Dos Anjos can go there and get there, and I don't think Fiziev has yet. And is that worth betting plus 1,000 on, that he shows that late? He gets caught out there late. I think it might be. He's never gone to a 4th or 5th round. Okay, all of these fights have gone to decision. He's ended up winning them. The only fight he's ever lost was in a first round knockout against Magomed Mustayev. So it hasn't been proven yet. But what we saw in that Bobby Green fight is something that sticks in my mind. And if you want to throw plus 1,000 at me, that Dos Anjos, who's a smart fighter, can take advantage of that, I'll take it from you. Let's do it. So yeah, those are my 5 bets for the weekend. There's some big money bets in there. There's some interesting ones. and I'm looking forward to seeing how they go. Let's run through the other bets from the UFC for the weekend. So if you fancy, we'll go from the bottom up to the top. Actually here, so we've Carl Robertson, who is minus 105, minus 115 for Kennedy Njoku. That's a fun fight. I like Njoku inside the distance there, plus 270. If I was going for a bigger bet from that, I'd probably go for that. I think it'll be a fun fight. Straight up betting, I would probably go for Kennedy at minus 115 there. Ronnie Lawrence is minus 140, plus 120 for Sidibu Kakramanov. Cody Brundage, who's been around a while, he's around plus 105, and even enough fight with Tressan Gore, minus 125. Jamie Malarkey's a big favourite over Michael Johnson, minus 245. Johnson plus 210. Do you know what? I like Johnson at that price. He looked good last time out. He's been training with Sanford MMA. Ian Gary has said a lot of good things about him, and I like Michael Johnson. He's a very, very good fighter, and if Malarkey goes in there and he strikes with him and he takes a few shots, he could be out of there very, very quickly. So let's see what Michael Johnson is to win early. Johnson wins in round 1 plus 600. Is there a round 1 KO bet here? Johnson wins by KO in round 1 plus 650. Go for the plus 600 there, I would say. That's not a bad flyer bet at all. Ayman Zahabi's a slight underdog, plus 160 against Ricky Turquoise, minus 185. That bet against Chase Sherman, I can't believe he's only plus 150 here, minus 175 against Vanderaa. Vanderaa minus 175 I think is great value as well. Cinti Calvillo, this is a fight I looked at and kind of avoided, minus 148 favourite over Nina Nunes, who is plus 128. I think Nunes, if she was at her best, and I really liked her and I think she was very good, I'm not sure where she is in her career right now. I probably just lean Calvillo because of that, but at her best I would probably pick Nunes. Then we have Shevchenko minus 185, Casey plus 150. We've Jamie Pickett minus 170, Dennis Tululin plus 145, and in the top 3 big fights, Silva de Andrade plus 110, Nurmagomedov minus 250. I think it's a closer fight than that, to be honest. The under 2.5 rounds minus 140. The under 1.5 rounds plus 130. Oh, I probably wouldn't go for that, to be honest. Fight goes to a decision plus 140. Fight doesn't go to decision minus 170. Like, if you fancy them to just take all their shots, the fight to go to decision mightn't be a bad bet, but I just think someone's going to land a big shot here. And as I went for plus 285, Nurmagomedov KO. Then the co-main event, Armen Petrosyan, Borralho. Plus 170 for Petrosyan, minus 200 for Borralho. The under 2.5 rounds, minus 140. Under 1.5 rounds, plus 145. Fight goes to decision, plus 180. Fight doesn't go to decision, minus 220. So the bookies reckon that this fight will be finished. And I think Borralho will win. So if you fancy that, plus 500 for the KO. And plus 250 for the submission. So one of them, if you fancy Petrosyan, KO plus 240. Oh, no, I wouldn't go for that, to be honest. And then the main event, Dos Anjos and Fiziev. This is very close. Plus 180 for Dos Anjos, minus 210 for Fiziev. You have to respect what Fiziev has done over the last few years, to be fair. This fight to go to decision is minus 140, plus 110. The fight doesn't go to decision, so people are expecting it to go long and expecting it to go to a decision, or the bookies at least anyway. If you fancy the KO of Dos Anjos, as I said, plus 1,000. If you fancy Fiziev to get the KO, plus 235. Dos Anjos by submission, plus 600. Fiziev by submission, plus 2,000. So, that's some very interesting lines there, and I suppose we'll see how it goes. So I'll just recap my bets before we go. No other major MMA on this weekend, so yeah, we'll stick with the UFC for this weekend. So my bets for the weekend are as follows: Caio Borralho to win by submission, plus 250. Antonina Shevchenko straight up, minus 175. Jared Vanderaa to win inside the distance at plus 145. Saeed Nurmagomedov to win by KO at plus 285. And in my flyer of the week is the former champ Rafael Dos Anjos to win by KO at plus 1,000. All right, I will leave it there. My name is Sheehan for Sherdog.com, and I'll see you all next time.